Storm Harold isn't the only development down at the border this Tuesday morning. In about an hour, a federal judge in Austin will consider whether Texas can keep the floating barriers in place in the Rio Grande. As we know, they were installed in July near Eagle Pass. The Department of Justice is suing Texas to take down the buoys for humanitarian reasons. I want to bring in KPRC2 investigative reporter Robert Arnold. Good morning, sir. Thank you so much for joining us on KPRC2 Plus now. We're doing well so far. The morning's just beginning. I want to talk about what is happening down at the border. You tend to be our go-to person on this matter. You got to see these in person. Walk us through the size. Let's start there.
So they're about 4 or 5 feet in diameter.
Just one?
Yeah, just one, right. And it's got, as you can see, we had the pictures up. You can see the picture behind us, and it's got these like metal cages on there. And that's essentially so they can be tethered to a cement anchor and they don't float away. They're also designed to roll. So if anybody tries to climb over the top of them, it's not going to make it because they'll keep rolling and rolling and rolling. You also have those blades that are on either end of it. And I mean, I touched those. Those blades definitely hurt. They don't cut the skin, but they definitely be painful. And that's to also further try to deter somebody from trying to go in between those two, in between two buoys.
Well, and I suppose they could do harm if, someone's trying to climb over them. They're slippery at that point.
Well, like I said, they also roll. I mean, everything rolls, and so it makes it very, very
challenging.
Difficult,
yes. They have been polarizing since they've been put in place in July. What's the most recent legal development with these buoys?
Okay, so the hearing this morning is based on the federal lawsuit, the lawsuit filed by the federal government, and it's not being done on humanitarian reasons. It's saying that Texas violated the Rivers and Harbors Act, which states that you can't build a structure, especially anything that's an obstruction, in a navigable waterway. So they claim that putting these buoys in the Rio Grande violates the Rivers and Harbors Act because Texas did not get permission from the Army Corps of Engineers before putting the buoys in place. Texas says, no, that's not true. They challenge that this is not a navigable waterway, this part of the Rio Grande as defined in the law, and they have every right to do it. Plus, as you know, Abbott has also invoked both the state and U.S. invasion clauses, and he says that these buoys are needed because of the huge number of crossings that have been seen in the area. Matter of fact, this is near Eagle Pass. This is just down from one of the international bridges in Eagle Pass, which is in the Del Rio sector, which has now become the second busiest spot for crossings and apprehensions along the entire southwest border. So Abbott is arguing that these violate no laws because it's not in a navigable waterway. Now, on Friday, we saw a survey get filed by the International Boundary and Water Commission, which monitors and oversees the Rio Grande. They did a survey of the buoys, and they released a survey showing that the vast majority of the cement anchors that were holding the buoys in place were actually on Mexico's side river. Right. But then over the weekend, you had government attorneys snap pictures of crews that were in there, Texas crews in there, that were then moving the buoys. So yesterday, Governor Abbott, right. So yesterday, Governor Abbott was on the border again in Eagle Pass with several GOP governors giving them a tour, and he was asked about the crews moving the buoys. And he said, look, he doesn't know if the cement anchors were ever technically on Mexico's side of the river. However, he had the buoys moved out of an abundance of caution, is what he said, to make sure they were on the U.S. side of the river. So this morning now, the government is asking the judge to order Texas to immediately remove the buoys. There's a hearing on that matter this morning. We don't know if there's going to be a ruling today or not, but the arguments are going to be at 9 a.m. in Austin.
9 a.m. I know you'll be monitoring that conference very closely.
Right, in federal court.
Yeah, and you will have an update for us coming up at 9. We'll be talking a little bit more about this and a few other things.
Now, the hearing will just be starting at 9.
It's starting at 9, right? So we might not have an update at that time.
Or even today. It depends on when the judge will rule.
This could be an ongoing matter for quite some time.
Correct.
I know you might have mentioned this at the top. We were describing the size of each buoy. This buoy barrier, how long is the actual barrier within the river?
It's just shy of 1,000 feet.
Okay, so pretty substantial.
Yeah, and it's pretty close. It's close to the Camino Real International Bridge in Eagle Pass, which is one of your more heavily traveled international bridges.
When you were down there and you had the opportunity to go around that area, what people who live there, people who are crossing, what are you hearing from those folks, everyday people?
Well, one of the things that you are going to hear is it's completely transformed the whole operation. And I had mentioned this yesterday. The buoys are getting a lot of attention, but is really a small part of the operations that have been set up in that area. You're talking about by that bridge, Camino Real Bridge, you've got Shelby Park and you've got the city's golf course. And that was a very popular place. You have a lot of people. Now it's become a base of operations. We saw, command centers set up. We saw guardsmen down there. We saw game wardens, state troopers, Florida game wardens, all launching, from Shelby Park to patrol the river. There's concertina wire everywhere. And I think one of the most studies in contrast was watching a guy literally hit his golf ball into concertina wire and having to dig his golf ball out of concertina wire, which is a drastic change from usually what you saw, because technically Eagle Pass was really one of the more quiet areas along the Rio Grande. And now it's become very busy, and you've got all this military activity there. You've got drone surveillance, everything up and down. They've also built fences, chain link fences with more concertina wire farther down from the international bridges in areas like some of the pecan farms, in where the actual federal border wall ends. They've tried to extend some of that coverage to prevent more crossings in the area.
Very fascinating. I know, as you were saying, the area looks completely different. We will be chatting with you again coming up at 9.
Absolutely.
We appreciate
See you at 9.
you stopping by at 8. Thank you very much, Robert. Again, join us at 9 with more details on Robert's visit to the border as we monitor what will be taking place starting at 9 in federal court. That hearing is happening in Austin.
I'll just turn it.